Hello everyone, this is Ailron, and I'm looking at Orcs Must Die, Unchained. This is my effective traps series where I look at traps that I think are most effective on particular maps. This map is maximum security that we'll be looking at next. So I'll be playing Midnight as usual, just because she doesn't have any trap discount reductions, and the stealth is nice for staying out of the way of the minions. In this particular series, I am avoiding causing as much hero damage as I can, trying to kill minions primarily with traps, so I'll be avoiding killing minions that cost rift points and only killing things that like mercenaries and hunters that don't cost rift points. So on this particular one, I tried a lot of different trap combinations. Barricades are necessary on this one to streamline the flow of the enemies. I did try some combinations with no tar, although I've ultimately found viscous tar was, as usual, well worthwhile. I was thinking originally that because there are a lot of enemies on this map that can avoid tar, avoid crowd control, the rock elementals, I was thinking that maybe I could make a build that didn't use tar at all and just focus on killing those as fast as possible, but the other minions really benefited a lot from tar, so I kept that as usual. Floor Scorcher, of course, is great if you have tar. So then the question became, what do we want to do for wall traps? Usually I would, I play a lot of Endless, and I prefer wall blades or wall chargers to grinders. They're superior for long-term damage with lots of enemies. But in this case, with being able to only afford a certain amount of coin at the beginning of maps, and needing to have a very reliable way of doing damage to enemies, I found Grinder is much more reliable when you have few traps. You know, Grinders do have their cooldown period whenever they get jammed, but until that, they're incredibly reliable. So I found that smoothed out the beginning of the game a lot better than Wall Charger or Wall Blades would have. I also added Spitfire Wall, and there's really a few choices here if you want to do a long-range wall trap, which there are some good spots for that on this map. I tried Arcane Bowling Ball. I found that one, while great in a lot of cases, was not as amazing here as I was thinking, because it tends to miss enemies quite a lot here. There are a lot of smaller enemies. I also tried Arrow Wall, and I tried Spitfire Wall, and Spitfire Wall ended up being very good. Maybe I'll talk about it a little bit more in the match, but one of the advantages of it is it helps keep enemies on fire all the time. And if you can keep enemies on fire all the time between Spitfire Wall and Floor Scorcher, then you can keep heat-activated triggers active as much as possible on your other traps. Unfortunately, of course, Grinder doesn't have heat-activated trigger. That's one of the reasons I like the Wall Charger Wall Blades, but it's still beneficial for things like Shock Zapper, which I also selected. So the other thing that I found is that the fast enemies, the Earth Elementals, they need something besides just the grinders to be able to take them out. And so I thought I need a ceiling trap that can also kill those enemies. So I wanted to pick something that could do instant damage. Of course, Shock Zappers can do that. Lightning rods can do that, pounders and so forth, but pounders ended up just being incredibly weak, and the lightning rods end up taking too many trap slots because they're very small. You need a lot of them. So shock zappers ended up being a pretty good compromise. Of course, they're quite expensive, but worth it, I think. And then, of course, my usual big game hunting ballistas for taking out the rifts. All right, here we are on maximum security with Midnight. Enemies are coming from this side first, so we're going to build them a little welcoming kill box over here. Then we're going to have enemies on the subsequent waves spawning over here on the east side. We're going to actually not have enough coin to build a kill box over here in the beginning. We're going to let them just come around the rift and get killed by our same kill box here. But after one wave of that, we'll have enough coin to build a dedicated kill box over there. That'll let us get a better time for 5 stars. So over here, I said I was going to comment on the Spitfire Wall, and so One thing you'll notice that's maybe not well known about Spitfire Wall, it has a range of 3. So 1, 2, 3, as you can see by this targeting box. However, and enemies have to be in this triggering range before the trap will fire. But whenever it fires, the range of the arrows is actually at least 5. I've tested it to be 5 away. It might even be further than that. But bottom line is it can actually fire further than the targeting box would imply, which means it's especially valuable in spots like I've put it here where it can fire down a long hallway. So I'm going to put one there to fire down that hallway and another one here to fire this way down the hallway. That they can both get kind of extra value there. Then I'll put a usual bunch of viscous tars and floor scorchers. I'm going to put floor scorchers every other square, and you might think that's kind of a waste. But the reality is the floor scorcher in its current nerfed state has a long enough cooldown that it can't keep enemies on fire all the time. So it actually can be worth it to put them every other square, I think. And one thing that'll let you do is get more value out of other traps that have heat activated trigger like the shock zapper or even other Spitfire walls. So I'm going to need a couple of grinders here because grinders are reliable and they can do continuous damage until they jam. So I'll kind of put them at the back of the kill box here so that if anything is wanting to get through, they can finish it off.
The enemy has opened a minion portal.
They've broken through a gate!
I think I'm going to put a couple more traps here once I get some coin. And then I will go to work on big game hunting ballistas to cover the rift spawn that'll be next.
Building a better mouse.
Now I'm going to look at rift spawn. I think that should cover those minions. There's a rift spawn over here, so one ballista there. Another one here. Then over here there are actually 3 spawn points, and so I'm going to need... actually I can cover them with 2 ballistas, so this should cover the 3 here.
Is working. I am justly rewarded.
Gonna move these over a little bit so I can get more arrow walls in.
This will be their end.
And that's kind of in preparation for the next wave whenever the eastern entrance spawns.
Destroy it.
So that rift should be covered by the BGH that I placed over there.
And our heroes destroyed the unstable rift, and there was much rejoicing.
We have to save some coin for these barricades to make the eastern entrance route around the bottom of the rift. And I do also want to put one more barricade over here because that makes the eastern entrance route around a little bit more circuitously.
They're breaking through again! They've broken through a gate!
Let's see how many of these I can hit with one shot. Not all of them. Alright, we're going to go ahead and finish off some of our zappers. think that should definitely do it from over here. So we'll start building up this area next. We want to make this self-sufficient
Let them come.
on this wave, ideally.
If I were them, I'd tread lightly.
So let's see if we saved enough coin to do that.
This will be their end. Building a better mouse. Orc chat.
So now we're going to start building another group of BGH ballistas to take out the bosses that come this way. Put them right here by the
Good
corner.
here. Sneaky.
3 is enough for now. We'll add one more later.
The boss is on his way elsewhere.
Useful.
And the reason I'm putting more grinders on the right side than the left side is because the minions tend to veer over to this side once they come down the hallway.
The enemy's boss is dead.
We need to get a lot of these shock zappers in place for the earth elementals. They're going to be spawning along with Gaiden. And I want to kill Gaiden pretty fast because he spawns more earth elementals, so I'll probably put one more BGH here.
Carefully set.
That way he'll just instantly explode.
The boss minion has entered the battlefield.
Unstable rift is opening. Quick, destroy it.
The boss minion has been taken down.
Well done. The unstable rift has been destroyed.
So we got one earth elemental that went through. Or more. Wow. Sometimes that happens. That's gonna waste some time, but not too much.
I can taste their blood already. I'll take that.
That guy needs to die. And I'm just going to finish this area off with some Spitfires just because I can.
This will stop them.
And this area is pretty much totally done. Let's see what we have on the other side. So we actually don't need that barricade since the only minions are coming from this side and they will not try to bypass that area anyway.
This will be their end.
So what I can do over here then is put some BGHs for the bosses that come this way.
If I were them, I'd tread lightly.
It's not critical that I put more, but 3 is plenty for sure. I usually put 4 grinders here. I don't even think I need that many, but then why not put some more Spitfires?
A better mouse.
And that's it. I mean, that's plenty overkill.
One with the shadows.
So now we can just wait out the rest of the map. Should be able to get a good time on this one, definitely 5 stars. My best times I've gotten close to 1 minute
Unstable
to
rift is
spare.
opening. It must be destroyed. We have destroyed the unstable rift.
I deserve a round of applause.
And our heroes destroyed the unstable rift. And there was much rejoicing.
As you can see, those Spitfires really do a lot of work. They get to fire quite a lot, and they have heat activated triggers, and they tend to reactivate each other, which is a nice synergy. You might think that Spitfires attacking the same target over and over again don't do anything extra. But as far as I can tell, Spitfires, at least based on the description, have a instantaneous damage component, and then they have a damage over time component. So even though the damage over time component doesn't stack, the instantaneous damage part should.
More skill, more kill.
And as you can see, those minions over there are on fire pretty much 100% of the time. Null Breeder doesn't really matter. I don't have to go get him if I don't want to, just because he can't hurt my traps.
Wait till I get my paws on them now.
unstable rift is opening. Quick, destroy it.
Ooh, that made my fur stand on it.
Well done. The unstable rift has been destroyed.
The boss minion has entered the battle. Final wave! A boss is on its way! They've summoned a boss minion!
This level seems kind of scary. It has a lot of bosses, but then
Boss
again, I have a lot of
defeated!
boss killing capabilities, so they pretty much die instantly.
The enemy's boss is down!
Here I come.
The boss minion is down!
So just a little bit less than a minute left, so pretty good time. Certainly well within the margin for 5 stars. Again, this is Aileron. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something about a set of traps that could be effective for maximum security, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks, everyone.